In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to mix different tints and shades of paint for a monochromatic value scale. So you're going to start out by getting this worksheet. Please make sure you write your name and your class code on the top because they're going to look very similar. And then you're gonna put a piece of placemat paper down on the table that's found under the black arrow. And then you're gonna set up your palette. Now you're gonna get a tray, a cup of water, a paintbrush, and a paper towel. Then you're gonna get a paper plate and you're going to fill it with 3 colors, white, black, and whatever hue you chose for your monochromatic mood project. So blue, blue-violet, blue-green, red, whatever it is that you chose, you put your hue there. Please make sure you only, when you squirt the paint out, squirt about the amount of a quarter, like 25 cents. It will spread out a little bit because if you put too much on there and it looks like this, you will not be able to mix any of your shades. So please just put a little bit. You can always go back for more whenever you need it. So the first thing that we're going to do is when we use this liquid tempera paint, you want to make sure that your brush is dry or almost completely dry. And the first thing that we're going to paint is going to be our hue. Now I'm going to make our hue number 5 here, but you can, there's other value scales that have more points, but because this is an 8 point, we're going to paint our solid hue on number 5. Now you'll notice I'm just putting a little bit of paint on the end of my brush. Please don't glob it on so that it's all the way up to here, okay? We want to just use a little bit of paint. So you're gonna paint the box underneath with your hue, okay? And it doesn't have to be perfectly filled in. It's just almost like making a swatch. Now I'm gonna go in this direction where the values gradually get lighter to make my tints. So a tint is the color plus white. So I'm gonna scoop some paint aside over here. I am not going to put any paint directly in here or here. Pretend it's a buffet and you're scooping a little bit out and putting it on your plate. You're not just gonna go over and start eating out of the tray, right? So then you would wipe a little extra off. You're gonna get a little scoop of white and you're going to mix them together. Now when you do this, you need to pull the paint into the center. Don't just swirl around like this because you're going to take a lot of space. Pull into the center. And you want it to be one even tint. Okay, and you can always test it, make sure there's enough contrast or difference between it. And then you're going to paint your first tint. Now from there, I can add more white to this pile of paint. If I were making a monochromatic painting where I wanted to have multiple tints already mixed for myself around my palette, I would then take a little bit of green and add white over here. But since we're kind of going in order, you can just add to it. Now I want to check this to make sure that there is enough contrast. I'm going to actually wipe my brush off on my paper towel between number 4 and number 3. And so holding my brush over, I see that there is. So that is going to be my next tint. Now, what do you think I'm going to do? Yes, add more white. So scoop a little more white in there. Remember, I'm always pulling toward the middle, not swirling all around like a maniac. Okay, so this should be a really, really light tint here. Okay, now this last one, you either want to make almost completely white or just white, okay? I am going to start a new pile, so I'm gonna make a pure white pile, and I'm just gonna use the little bit of paint that was on my brush to make that last super minty light green, okay? You can also do plain white if you need to have more contrast between these two values. So these are all of my tints. Now I'm gonna wash my brush really, really good in the cup. So when I do that, I'm holding the cup and I'm kind of scrubbing the bottom to get all the paint off. Then I'm gonna wipe on the side, not tap, and then I'm gonna dry my brush on my paper towel. Now I'm gonna start to add shades. So for my shades, I'm gonna start with my hue and I'm gonna add a little bit of black to make it get darker. Now, when you are doing this, you need to keep in mind that the black has very strong pigment in it, which means that it's gonna, a little bit goes a long way. So I'm gonna do a little scoop of my green over here, and I'm just gonna go boop, and get the tiniest bit, boop, of black. And I'm gonna start to swirl it around. And again, pulling into the center. Now I'm gonna hold this color over it to see if there's enough contrast. I actually think there could be a little more, so I'm just gonna boop, add a little bit more. Now I'm seeing, ugh, that's too dark. So I'm going to scoop some more green in there and pull it into the center. So you can see that even the almost 40-year-old art teacher does not get the perfect shade right away always. So you can always add more green or more black depending on if you need to lighten or darken that value. So now I have a nice contrast between here and here, this nice foresty green. Now I'm gonna boop, add a little bit more black. That is pretty dark. Now on the video right now, I could see it kind of looks almost black. If you need to see what it looks like, look at my example on the bulletin board, and you'll be able to see the difference between it maybe a little bit better. Now for my final one, I'm gonna add more black, pull it into the center. If, again, you needed a lot of contrast, you could also paint this last one pure black. That's fine too, which this looks almost pure black. It's pretty close. Now, when it's time to clean up, this is gonna go in the trash. This is gonna go in the trash. Your paintbrush is gonna go bristle side down in the dirty brush cup, not in the sink, not anywhere else. This gets dumped and rinsed out. The tray gets put back. This is put on the drying rack, and this is put back under the black arrow. Please double check that your name is on it before you put it on the drying rack, and have fun.